Hey, welcome everybody. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Starting to get the hang of this, I think. Maybe, just maybe. Maybe. So, yeah, tonight, I wasn't gonna do a stream, but it's been kind of a busy day. I uploaded a bunch of clips that I saw some people complain that I didn't comment on. And it's funny because I really wanted to, but I just didn't have the time to do that. I got some stuff going on, some home improvements and that kind of thing going on, so I haven't had a chance today to do any kind of commentary stuff, which is why I have the stream at 9 p.m. Eastern Thursday nights. As you can tell, I've had a couple drinks, and that's the way it usually goes. That's why the silhouettes are holding up drinks in the thumbnail, because that's what we do. But guys, I got some people here actually to chat tonight. Hopefully Liberal Cluck will hopefully be making an appearance and chatting with us. We got Richard Steele, who is our resident expert on everything George Floyd, Derek Chauvin trial. And actually, I kind of consider myself an expert on it as well, because I've watched it all. So I'm current on what's happening. We'll have some interesting discussion on that. Hopefully some Discord on that as well with Liberal Cluck. And if you guys want to join us, you're very welcome to, as always. Just join the Discord, get into the call waiting channel, and I'll bring you guys in as we have the opportunity to do so. So let me get comfortable here in this new chair that I just got. It's funny, yesterday I have a back spasm, and I'm sitting here wondering why. It's probably this new chair that I'm sitting in now. I don't really know what this is all about. Oh, there he is. Liberal Cluck. What? I'm at Food Lion. Oh, okay. He's at Food Lion right now, guys. That's okay. We'll make do until he's here. Not a big deal. Richard Steele says, you might want to mute Naomi Seeks until an adult. Okay, I will. I'll move him out. We're good. All right, I'm going to move my folks in here right now. We'll get started. Hello, guys. You're in the channel. Welcome, everybody. I see we actually have people. So you might notice that there's nobody watching right now. That there's a reason for that. I did 3 videos today. I don't know if you saw. I did a bunch of clips. Tried to compensate for the fact I couldn't really do any commentary. And in doing that, I used up all my notifications. So there's not going to be that many people probably watching tonight, but whatever. Oh, we got Antigone16 in here. Hey, Antigone, what's up? One of my favorite Discord users. And actually, that reminds me, I'm on Telegram now, everybody. If you're interested in joining me on Telegram, I can actually get you. I can hook you guys up with the little link here. Give me just a second. And then we're going to get started on this chat, I promise. And we're even going to have some debate. It's going to be interesting, I promise you. Get this link here for you guys. How many of you guys are you guys on Telegram? Is it just me? Oh man, we did this whole thing about getting Liberal Cluck over here with. Oh, there we go. That's what I was.
Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Oh,
Speaking right now.
yeah. Hold on.
You might have
No,
your
no,
microphone muted.
no. And I have you. I gotta change some things here, guys. 1 second. There we go. All right. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hello. Hello, guys.
I can hear you, John.
There you go. What's up, man?
Not much, dude. Just having a couple drinks for Thursday night Discord chats.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny. So it's like a weird night to drink. And it's funny because for me, it goes probably back to Ohio State when I was going in college, and Thursday nights were always kind of the pregame party night. But also on Thursday nights, though, or all day Thursday, were a gaming tournament that I was in, Battlefield Vietnam tournament, and which eventually turned to a Battlefield 2 tournament. And that was every Thursday night, and I would play 10 hours a day. Even if I had a call off work, I would schedule off those days. Thursday for me has been like a designated drink, hang out, let loose night.
So
is my point.
You're continuing the tradition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Naomi
my point.
Seeks. I don't know who that person is. I'm not sure if it's a child or an adult who is in the presence of a child who's just picking up on the microphone's picking up on that child playing games. But
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm glad that they're gone from
Hello?
the discussion.
Yeah, not a big deal. Not too worried about it. You know what? That was something that's been up in that weird chat channel for a while. I just drug them down, thinking maybe they were there. So that was my bad. Let me drag Kish down here with us. Hey, Kish, what's up? Okay. Anyway, it's just us still. That's okay. So, have you been watching this Floyd trial? I've been keeping up with it myself, even if I had to listen to it while I'm taking a shower. But I've been keeping up with it. How about you?
Are you talking about? Are you talking to Kish or to
No, I'm
me?
talking to you. It's just you and me right now.
Yeah, Kish, we can't hear you if you're speaking. Your microphone might be muted, but I've been keeping track of every second of the trial, so I'm a little bit behind. And a lot of the testimony that I've been listening to has been fairly
Testing.
redundant, and like it's foundational and it's boring technical testimony. But nonetheless, you learn a little bit from whatever testimony you hear from. You get a fuller understanding of like the picture and the the situation as it occurred. And so I think it's important to hear everything that the jury hears so you can have a fully informed opinion. So that's what I'm doing because I don't want to skip
Absolutely.
over something because it might have some detail that might be important later on. So I want to hear everyone's testimony and I want to observe all the evidence. So it's
Right.
taken me a while. You work most of the day, but when you have time, maybe if you're put it in the background or maybe at night listen to a little bit, but it's just difficult to to keep up because it's like 5 hours every day of testimony, and
Yeah.
so not a lot of people have 5 hours a day just to dedicate to listening to testimony. So
Right. So,
I'm a few days behind.
okay. Oh, you're a few days. Did you watch today?
No, I'm finishing day 5 right now.
Okay. Well, yeah. I've missed some chunks in there. I've tried to get it all, but today I thought was pretty interesting. Every there's been some interesting tidbits actually, and I think excuse me, burping a little bit. I think probably more and more. I think Derek Chauvin's going to get off, and honestly, I think he should because I've compared. I don't know if I already did a stream and compared it to this, but it's funny. Just the other night, and it wasn't planned this way or anything. I just kind of happened upon my cousin Vinny because we were doing the free trial for Paramount Plus or whatever. It's on there. And so my
Right.
wife and I watched it, and I love that. I'm like, have you seen this? It's a great movie. I haven't seen it forever, but it's got Ralph Macchio and Joe Pesci and all those guys. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
And what's her face is strutting around in like skimpy clothes the
Oh
entire movie.
yes. Miss Beautiful.
Marissa Tomei.
Tomei. Yeah.
Yeah, she's prancing around like it's purposeful, obviously, but just watch it anyway.
Yeah. You're
The whole movie is
basically
about
half the
like
motivation for watching the movie.
right. Well, so the whole movie is about Ralph Macchio and his friend going to the store. He the setup's kind of stupid, but he accidentally shoplifts some tuna, and they're obviously like college students, and they're trying to save money, and they leave, and they pay for their food, otherwise they leave, and then something happens right after they leave. But anyway, they get pinned for this murder that happens there right afterwards because there's a similar couple guys that do it, and they have a similar car, and so all the people who witnessed it at the trial, so they're sure that these kids did it, but they didn't. So the whole movie, it's a comedy movie, so it's lighthearted, but he eventually proves that everybody completely misread everything that they thought they saw, or they didn't see what they thought they saw, and he kind of proves that witness testimony is actually not very reliable, first of all,
Right.
but it reminded me so much of what's going on now with the Floyd trial because people are so convinced because they've been kind of already bombarded with, oh, it's a murder and it was racist and there's an injustice happening here. But when you actually dig into the details, not so much, actually.
Right.
And I'm really
So
scared because I think that we'll move on from there. But yeah, what do you have to say about that?
well, what's your basis for believing that it's more likely than not that Chauvin will get off. Like
Well,
specifically, is it that the witness's testimony is unreliable, or is it
no.
like
So
an expert that you recently saw?
no, it's over the last few days actually. Um, so for one, they can't. There's no way to prove that his knee was on his neck. Like they say it was on his neck. They say that so much, but actually now it's been established that when his knee was on his neck, all the experts have agreed, as far as I know, that it was actually on. I forget what they call it. It's got like a scientific name, but it's that right in the middle of
Like
your
his jaw?
neck. It's real tough part, real tough,
Okay.
strong, meaty, muscly part of your neck, right there behind. If you feel it, you'll feel it. Just feel back there. His
Right.
knee was on that part, and so and they've all agreed with that. And the medical examiner also showed that there was no bruising on his neck. There's no damage to the trachea. So it's being established pretty solidly that Derek, however bad it looks, he was not restricting his breathing. And actually, Floyd had a litany of issues. He had heart problems. He had his aorta was 90% corroded. Is that what you call it? Or he had it was blocked, 90% blocked,
Right.
I guess. But he had that. He had he had just gotten over coronavirus.
Right.
He
He
was a
was also a
lifetime
smoker.
smoker. It's just like lining up here, and on top of all of that,
And had fentanyl and meth in his
he had the
system and
fentanyl and meth, and what's interesting is that
lethal amount.
yesterday the prosecution actually was questioning one of the investigators who took the photographs and investigated both the police car and Floyd's vehicle. She found pills both in his vehicle and in the police vehicle, in the where he had been kind of put into the vehicle, that were half eaten, and that had his DNA on them.
So they were in
it's
his mouth at the time.
right.
He was shoveling pills in his mouth.
Right.
Basically.
Oh, hold on. We got people in chat. I just noticed. Here we go. Hey, what's up, Liberal Cluck? I didn't notice you in there, man. Sorry.
See, the one
that's good.
One
one
sec.
point
Go ahead.
that I'm interested
Hey, what up?
in them elaborating on is one of
Hey,
the
what up?
first witnesses who
What's up,
was
man?
an
What's up?
MMA fighter who clearly had an interest in the outcome of the case and was completely biased just based on his behavior in the courtroom, how he smiled at Derek Chauvin and told him he was going to kill himself, and he wasn't very. He was hostile when the defense was questioning him. He did not present as a good witness, but the one interesting aspect that I would like to hear either further elaborated or refuted was the fact that he was also not only a fact witness, but he was a limited expert witness because of his extensive MMA training. And he was saying that you can have a blood choke on someone with having a knee just on their neck. And that, in fact, could either render someone unconscious or kill them. And he's obviously not a medical expert, but he is an expert within MMA, and he has done that before. So I'm interested to hear like how the defense will refute that, or how like medical experts will elaborate on whether or not that's possible, because I think a lot of this case kind of hinges on the possibility of having that, what it's called, I guess, a blood choke, or something in a way where you're not asphyxiating someone, but you're denying oxygen to
Right.
the
That's
brain because you're restricting blood flow to it. But I think that's important, and I'm not sure whether that's been discussed or not, because like I said, I'm still on day 5, and I'm not sure who the witnesses have been recently, but I think that's a critical issue. Because even if it was against protocol to have, for example, Chauvin put his hand against his skull and to keep his skull down with his hand, like we would all agree that shouldn't kill someone, right? But it still is against protocol, police protocol, and it looks bad. But that doesn't necessarily mean that if someone places their hand against someone's skull that it's excessive to such an extent that it caused them to be killed by it.
right.
So
there's so much room for reasonable doubt there, no doubt. about it. I mean,
Right.
it's there, but I'm interested. Liberal Cluck, have you been following this?
The Chauvin trial?
Yeah.
No, not even a little bit.
Really? Are you serious?
It's not important for me.
Really? It's
It's
not at
probably
all?
the trial of the decade.
How is
dude.
it not important to you? Because it's like so central to so much of like what's been going on in this country for the last, I don't know,
It's not-
year.
Year?
Well,
Yeah.
if putting your knee on the neck is
Hold on.
within
You just
I've
said
been following
so.
it.
You're all. I just want to stop you real quick. When you say putting your knee on the neck, that's pretty much been debunked at this point. Just so you know.
that he
Go ahead.
had his knee on his neck.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was at this point in the trial. They've established that when it was on his it was on his back, it was on his shoulder, and it was on his neck. And when it was on his neck, it was on that meaty like central part of your neck there. Where and it's also been established that there was no bruising on his
What?
neck or his trachea.
Okay.
Not on the throat
Okay.
is what I think Dronetek is trying to clarify.
yeah.
It wasn't on his throat. It was on a muscular portion of his neck.
It was on the back of his neck, right?
Right, like if you
Yeah.
feel there, you can feel what it was. It's like that meaty.
Yeah. No.
Tough part.
Listen. But putting your knee on the back of even that part of the neck while you are handcuffed on the ground, like that could still kill somebody. That's why.
Well, that's got to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt for
Yeah,
one.
I think
Okay.
That's done
okay,
all
I
the
think that-
time. Why is there not bodies
Oh,
everywhere from that?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
of course. Hold on. Of course, it's not all the time. I can hit somebody in the back of the head with a baseball bat and they still survive. Doesn't mean that hitting somebody in the back of the head with a baseball bat can't kill somebody.
That's true, but that's not the point here. I mean,
Right.
that's like irrelevant, really. But
Well, so if there's a reason why the Virginia DOC has against policy for you to put your
Sure,
knee on the back of
sure.
somebody's neck.
You're talking about Virginia, not
Yeah. No. So
so-
listen. Yeah. So it goes back around to that. There's a reason for that. It's because it increases the chance that during a situation where you have to restrain somebody, you could end up potentially killing them. If within that particular state, it wasn't against policy for him to have his knee on the back of that person's neck, then that is an issue with policy within that state.
agreed.
I
Agreed.
wouldn't expect a police officer to be held accountable for something that's not against policy because
Okay,
they-
this is why I like you,
they-
liberal cluck.
they because it's just the way you get trained, and if
Right.
even if like I don't think it's common knowledge that putting the knee, like before George Floyd, it wasn't common knowledge that putting your knee on the back of somebody's neck could kill somebody.
Not only
Like,
that,
I
but
don't-
George Floyd was a perfect storm as far as that goes.
Right.
Like,
Okay, well,
yeah,
the thing is about George Floyd is I still think that they were way excessive on him. Like he
Here's-
wasn't a threat to
here's-
anybody.
here's
So
the
the force
issue.
how
which
can you
they
say
used-
that if you watch the
Liberal.
entire like
Liberal.
thing play out?
Yeah, liberal. Let me just like expand on what you're talking about because
I think you're very reasonable, and I think you're dead on. By the way, just saying.
so like you have to take a person, you have to consider the person as they are and whatever medical conditions that they have or whatever. So you want to render aid to those who have severe pre-existing medical conditions and perhaps have some drugs and some illicit controlled substances in their body that present as a severe medical condition with a stressful event involved. And so you have to consider all of that, right? So when an arresting officer is restraining someone, you should consider these conditions. But what doesn't go, that which isn't broadcasted nationally is the condition that George Floyd was before he was restrained and put into that position, which was he was highly excited. His heart rate must have been through the roof. He was complaining about having an inability to breathe when he was placed into a
Early
squad
on.
car.
Yeah.
He was foaming out of the mouth.
He was
and
foaming
when-
early on too. Yeah.
He was foaming before he was put into that position of maximum restraint. And when they did that, it was because he was resisting them. They placed him into that restraint position. They also placed him on his side. But he could have passed away if Chauvin didn't even put his knee on his neck. I mean, that's just a possibility that we have to face.
So
And optically, that looks terrible that he did that. But what if he put his knee on his skull and he was saying, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe"? That would look optically very bad as well. But that doesn't mean that was the cause of him passing. It just means that it looks bad when he passed.
Normally, when you have somebody in restraints, you don't want to keep them on their stomach anyways. You're supposed to try to roll them over.
No, right.
Right.
They had him in a side position,
They
so
did.
his respiratory, he could.
Wait, no, he had his knee on the neck for like 8 minutes, right?
True.
And he was already restrained. The only time that you're supposed to have them on your stomach is when you're trying to put the cuffs on them, and then you roll them over immediately. He already had cuffs on him, so he didn't even have a reason to keep him on the stomach.
He wasn't on his stomach. He was placed on his side, and that was to allow his respiratory.
After 8 minutes of him being on his stomach with the knee on the neck, or back, or whatever.
He wasn't on his stomach. He was on his side during that entire time.
Here's the thing. Okay,
hold on.
Instead of going back and forth on this, because he was down on the ground for a while. But here's the thing: is lots of people are down on the ground like that for a long time and they don't die. That Floyd had basically put himself in this position where he was gonna like die from like what he was getting himself into, and I kind of agree that like you have a sliver of agreement with me where I believe the cops probably should have gotten off him at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't think that would have mattered. It was he was losing it from the beginning. He was saying he couldn't breathe from the beginning. Like he was gonna die anyway because he was eating pills while they were arresting him. Like
he said, his words were,
which is proven.
If you put me in this car, I'm going to die. If you put me in this car, I'm going to die.
They found pills. Cluck, I don't know if you heard me say this, but they found pills in the police car that were half eaten by him that had his DNA on them and everything. Like they were. It's indisputable. He was still eating shit as they were pushing him into the car.
Hold on. So even if it was the case that their actions didn't cause George Floyd's death, it still doesn't excuse the excessiveness to which they used.
I'm not sure how excessive it was, honestly. I mean, maybe a little bit, but
right.
Like that wouldn't have killed anybody else. That wouldn't have killed anybody.
Well,
that's why they were so nonchalant. Everybody's like, they're so nonchalant because it's a black man. He has no humanity. No, that's not why. It's because they do that shit daily, every day.
No, actually, no. Even within their policy, putting your knee on the neck like that isn't a daily thing. It's a last resort thing.
It wasn't really on his neck, though. Like when you say his neck, no, there was no bruising on his neck, none, zero.
Oh, okay.
They established that today.
I think we all can agree on this point, which is that
it looks like it optically in some of the videos, but he wasn't really on his neck.
At some point, George Floyd became unresponsive, and he was no longer resisting. We all agree at that point.
They should have backed off at some point. Yeah.
Maybe should have reduced the level of restraint that they put upon him. And perhaps if they should have
I agree that was
allowed
too much.
him.
I think
I think
what happened.
Vital signs, but
Yeah, I think what happened is they encounter these exact same situations on a regular basis. Anybody who's watched Cops knows that that's the case. You see it in every episode of Cops. Oh, you're breaking my arm. You're breaking my arm. Oh, I can't breathe. Like, literally, go back and watch old Cop episodes. Like, every episode is like that. So these cops hear this on a regular basis. They don't know. Like, they didn't necessarily know that he just downed all those drugs and was eating them the whole time. They didn't know that. He was dying at that point. And if they'd realized that that was the truth, they would have done something. They did not.
Look,
they're not to blame.
And also,
listen, I
think
agree.
The defense did a good job at saying that there are times when someone is unresponsive, and then once they regain consciousness, they become volatile. Yeah. So that's why they continue restraining, because if someone's unconscious,
I get your point. So while I agree that yes, people who are being arrested, people who are being restrained, do cry wolf all of the time. It's up
Right.
to the state it's up to the state and the local jurisdictions to create policies that would prevent things like this from happening in the first place. So his knee was definitely on his neck. I just saw a picture of it. Like
Well, a picture is
So-
not good enough because it's like shifting and shit constantly, like the entire 9 minutes. He's changing position constantly. And there was no bruising on the neck, on the trachea.
Okay,
Like if he
so-
had actually been digging his knee in there to kill him, it would be there.
No,
There would be
wait,
bruising.
So can I
it's
ask you guys?
hold on,
No, hold on.
it's-
Let Cluck finish, please. And then
it's not necessarily about how much force is being put on the back of the neck, but the position in which the knee is forcing the neck to be into. So
Right.
it is possible for that to happen. Hold on, I want to respond to something else that Richard Steele said.
Yes.
So they said that there was some kind of fear that since he went unresponsive, if they were to let up, he would get up and start going crazy. He was
That's what he'd been
handcuffed.
doing, though. That's what he'd been
Yeah,
doing
but
is
he
going crazy.
but he was handcuffed. He was not a threat to anybody but himself.
Handcuffed
He
people are a
was
threat.
handcuffed and he was struggling and resisting and fighting as well.
Look and
But he
do
was
some research on handcuffed
handcuffed.
people. Do some research on handcuffed people and the threats they pose.
Okay. How many injuries is caused by people who are handcuffed during police interactions?
I don't know the exact number.
That's what I want to. I know you can come up. I know you can come up with anecdotes, but those aren't important to
Right.
me because
You're right.
because
You're
anecdotes
right.
are.
You can
Okay.
still resist actively with handcuffs, attack people even if you're handcuffed.
We've talked
that
about
doesn't
this
necessarily
before.
Mean that,
Yeah, go ahead. You're right. I was just gonna
doesn't
say, like
necessarily mean-
he's been violent, super violent in the past. I don't know if the cops knew that. I don't know if that'll.
Well,
I'm
it
assuming
doesn't
they
matter
didn't.
if they.
I'm assuming
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they did because if he got up and started trying to attack somebody, they could easily bring him back down because he is handcuffed and there are more of them than him.
Okay.
That's not true. He's 6 foot something. He's a big dude that
He is a
works
big
out
dude.
every single day. And
He's
if you have meth in your
handcuffed.
system-
That
if you
doesn't
have
more
meth
of
in your
necessarily.
system-
That's a subjective kind of thing anyway, because you're not in the situation, and your life's not on the line. Others aren't on the line. You're not responsible for other people. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and there's a lot of history that goes into a situation like a policy like that. You know what I mean? Like they've
His
encountered
girlfriend
situations
testified.
where that has become a problem, which is why they
Yes.
do that.
Yes,
So
because
maybe
people regain consciousness and they can become very violent as soon as
Yeah.
they regain consciousness
So-
because
so-
they're unfamiliar with what's going on and they become confused and upset and a little bit violent because they're unaware of what the circumstances are. They're frightened and they become violent. That's why they restrain people and remain in those positions so that once those people, if they do regain consciousness, they don't become violent. And yes, and also the defense did a great job because at elaborating on the fact that yes, you render aid, but this is a busy intersection. It's one of the busiest intersections in Minneapolis. And so there's cars coming through. It's dangerous to roll someone out and do chest compressions. I mean, there's a lot of good points that they had there. They're basically seeing this guy as a physical threat because he was a physical threat, for most of the time until they restrained him. And so they're holding him in position until EMS arrives. And they called EMS before he was put into that position of restraint. They called EMS when he was in the back of the car wrestling around with them and fighting them and saying, "Put me on the ground, put me on the ground." That's when they called EMS. And then they upgraded it to a code 3, which is an emergency, put your sirens on, get here immediately, as soon as they had him on the ground. So what should they have done differently in terms of responding to his medical conditions? I mean, yes, they restrained him because he was physically violent and fighting them and resisting arrest and refusing to go in the car and complaining he couldn't breathe in the car. And then once he got down to the ground, he was repeating what he repeated when he was in the car. And so, yeah, maybe his breathing became
Richard,
more
I'm
labored.
sorry. You've been going on for a while. I've got.
Yeah,
I've
go
got.
ahead and jump in there, bro.
Okay. So At what point do you want me to comment on what should they have done differently? What should they have done differently from the beginning was try to de-escalate the situation.
It's easy to say all this.
How did they-
Yeah,
by the
no,
way,
I have.
All right.
Listen, I have crisis
Comment
intervention
on that.
training.
Comment on that. Comment on that. Just comment on that.
Guys, let him get a word in. Come on, let Liberal Cluck get in here. Come on.
I have crisis intervention training from both DOC and from my schooling, so I understand the intricacies of these types of situations. What should they have done when after they had him on the ground? They should have tried to roll him over immediately. That's what you are taught as a DOC officer. A DOC officer is somebody who is in prisons with some of the most violent people on earth, and we are still taught to after you have them restrained, you are to immediately turn them over to their stomach because of this possibility. You are certainly not to put your knee on their neck because of this possibility. Now, maybe he did die of a drug overdose. That is very possible, and those cops just unfortunately were in a situation to where it made it look like that they killed George Floyd, even though he died of a drug overdose. That still doesn't excuse the excessive force in which they used against George Floyd. At the very
Was it really
least,
that excessive? I mean, they didn't use tasers, they didn't use tear gas or any of that. They just were pinning him to the ground so he couldn't like freak out like he was doing.
It was excessive because they were pinning him to the ground on his stomach, which I don't know what their policies are there, but you're not supposed to do that after you have them handcuffed.
Have somebody pin you on the ground on your stomach and see if you really have a really hard time.
I did as DOC training.
It's not that big a deal.
He wasn't on the ground. He wasn't prostrate.
This
on
isn't
the ground.
waterboarding or anything. I mean, my God, man.
But
He was rolled
okay,
to the side in a respiratory position or whatever.
after he died, like
Why, right?
you're supposed to roll them. You're supposed to roll them on their side
Liberal
before
Let me
they
tell you
die.
something, man.
Martial
George
arts.
Floyd made a
Cluck.
long series of horrible. Here, I'm just gonna end this because we can go around and around. We're gonna move on to Biden, and then his speech today. But look, Floyd. Ultimately, this is my feeling on this, and I definitely appreciate Liberal Cluck, and you. I think you've been very reasonable, but George Floyd
Yes,
made
I
a
agree.
long series of bad mistakes that led up to what happened. And I don't think you can take Derek Chauvin and be like, you're to blame for his death. Seriously? Are you kidding me? Like, any other normal, rational human being would have just, like, gotten arrested and gone to jail. This guy fought and fought, like, ate his drugs, like, continued fighting. And he's pleading, and it sounds like he's pleading all this, but dude, again, watch an episode of Cops. That's how every fucking person that gets arrested acts. Seriously.
Yeah.
That was like any
Also-
episode of Cops. So, I'm
Also,
sorry.
just one more point for just to piggyback on what you're saying. His girlfriend testified that they'd both been abusing opioids and
Right.
pills that were mixed with meth and fentanyl. But prior to this experience, this situation, this incident, he'd been clean for a while.
Right.
And a few days before this, he had received these pills that were not prescription pills.
Right,
So
right.
they're basically fentanyl presses. So that might have been
What killed him?
a reason for his because
And
he
they
was
won't
clean for a
allow that
while.
guy to testify. Well, they won't give him immunity so he pled the fifth. The drug dealer, the guy that sold him those pills, he pled the fifth, and the prosecution doesn't want to give him immunity because they don't want him to testify because he possibly could be the guy that killed George Floyd.
Yes,
Good
agreed.
point. I forgot about that.
Agreed. That's why it's important to listen to all the testimony, even the girlfriends,
Yes.
because you pick up on a little bit of information here and there.
Right. So my takeaway is at the if everything that those cops did were a part of policy, that policy needs to change for sure, definitely. That's kind of
But
where
how
I'm at
did
with
that?
it.
What I would ask you is how that policy came to be in the first place. What do you think led to that? Do you think it was just arbitrary? Like they just came to that policy, like somebody had a dream one night and they're like, okay, let's make that the policy, or is it that just their job led them to make that policy, like their daily interactions?
I don't think that it's like a policy that somebody specifically made. I think it's a lack of policy that hasn't been made
Definitely is.
yet.
No, it definitely is a policy that someone made.
Yeah, it is.
That
Right.
Wait.
That's what I'm
so-
saying. It is a policy. Like
so okay, If something about having their knee on the back of the neck is in policy, it's only restrictions.
What's wrong
on
with
that.
a knee on your back of your neck? Tell me what's wrong
Because
with that.
because it can.
Cannot kill a normal human being, like a healthy
Hold
normal
on a
human
second.
being.
Hold on a second.
Is placing your
Sometimes you
knee
gotta do
on
it.
someone's neck.
That's
for
How do you
not
deal?
true.
would not
Here's
kill
my
a
thing with
normal
people
human
like you, liberal cluck, and I don't have a problem. I like don't take this the wrong way, but like you just like you have so much empathy to a fault, and you don't understand that like sometimes when you're out there on the front lines dealing with bad people, that sometimes you have to get tough. You got to, otherwise you're dead.
You forget that I surround myself with bad people.
I know
quote,
that
unquote,
you
bad
told me.
people
I
all
know
the
you. I
time.
know all these things, but yet you're. I don't understand the contradiction there.
And by the way, I respect that, liberal cluck. Much respect to you. Much respect to you.
Oh, I'm not an officer anymore. Just so you know, I don't want to make it sound like I'm still an officer.
Okay,
I still
but
work in the prison system. Though.
You
well, your past
you
service.
surround
much
yourself with
respect.
good people or bad people? Is that what you said?
To be honest, most people that are in prison are probably decent people
oh.
that were in shitty situations.
Made a mistake.
That's just my experience, though. I don't know what the statistics on that are.
Hey,
Alright,
what's up,
so,
Rational Wrong Thing? Good to see you, everybody.
Dronetek, do you want to move on to a different topic of discussion
Yeah.
about
I
Biden?
want to. Yeah, I want to talk about Biden's speech today. I watched. Did you guys all watch that? On
No.
I
his
was at work.
executive order. Okay, well, I uploaded a video today. It was kind of a 10-minute or so narrowed down version of it. We can kind of go through that and comment on the different sections if you want.
Was it about the executive orders that? What
Yeah.
did they do? Were they specific on what the executive orders?
Yeah, I
actually-
edited each one, so we'll just go through them here. 1 second.
Vice President, thank you very much.
Whoa.
You know, we're joined
shit.
today.
What were
by
these?
the
What's
Attorney
the
General.
overall topic of these orders?
It's all gun rights stuff.
Oh, yeah, we're probably not going to disagree much then.
Oh, really? Well, let's go through it anyway because people were giving me shit in the comments and I didn't comment on it. So, and I actually did. I just didn't have time to edit it all, and we're getting flooring in our house. So anyway.
Well, let's be honest.
Eric Garland, who I've asked.
have zero idea about what his executive orders do, and I would love to hear a summary of them. Are they bad?
So let's.
I don't think.
No, I'm against all. Well, I'm not totally against them, but here's the thing: is that like the tactics that he uses throughout the speech. The tactics he used throughout the speech are very deceptive, and they're appeals to emotion that deflect from the reality. And he says things that simply aren't true. And ultimately, I have to believe that all of this is an assault on a guy who's residing in the White House that has fences around D.C. right now that now wants to take away people's gun rights. It's like, fuck you, and everything you're doing is bullshit. And I'll go over all of it. We can argue about it or not. So I'm gonna play it. Are you guys watching the stream? Can you see this?
Hold on. If you want, if you
just get on my stream and just listen to it, so you can hear what I'm talking about.
Twitch.
Yep.
I'm on Twitch too. I think, yeah.
Sorry, hold on.
Hey, what's up, William Grant? What's up, all you guys? God bless America. Season of the Watchers, John Marshall, Osher06, you've been here since the start. Thank you. Devil's Advocate, KDW, all you guys.
The thing is, I think it's gonna be. I think if I do it on stream, it's gonna be a feedback.
Oh,
hold on. Let me change some shit. All right, because you're gonna be talking in my headphones. I gotta hear that.
Well, all you gotta do is like watch the portion that like of the thing, and then just pause it. And I'll tell you when to hit play. Or just mute it, and then.
I'll just play Pokemon and listen to you guys, and.
All right, you'll know what we're talking about. I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, I'm playing the
Thank
video
you,
right
Kamala, Madam Vice President. Thank you very much. You know, we're joined today by the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who I've asked to prioritize gun violence. It's also good to see the second gentleman, who is here, and it's good to see the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, who cares deeply about this issue as well.
What's up, Devil's Advocate?
And I look out there and I see
KDW,
so many
thanks.
members of Congress who've led in this fight. So
Thanks
many
for
of you
watching.
who've never given up. so many of you are absolutely determined, as Murphy and others are, to get this done.
Murphy and Brothers?
We got a long way to go. It seems like we always have a long way to go. But I also, today, we're taking steps to confront not just the gun crisis, but what is actually a public health crisis.
Ooh.
Nothing I'm about to recommend.
Hold on. It's a public health crisis, guys. That's my first tip off. This is like nefarious as fuck, but let's go.
In any way impinges on the Second Amendment.
Oh,
Hold on. The argument.
Yeah, this in no way impinges on your Second Amendment. That's a phony argument.
Public health.
What the fuck is a phony argument? Fuck you. Like, that's
what?
like get into a debate with somebody and be like, that's a phony argument. What the fuck? This is our president. Anyway, hold on, I'm gonna continue.
Suggesting that these are Second Amendment rights at stake from what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, no way.
But
It's a phony argument.
No amendment to the Constitution is absolute. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. We call it freedom of speech.
Yeah, you can't.
From the very beginning, you couldn't own any weapon you wanted to own.
That means you can't have
gun rights. From the very beginning, the Second Amendment existed. Certain people weren't allowed to have weapons.
Oh, all right. So, God, we gotta stop here and just discuss this so far. Oh my God, do you see what I mean, Liberal Clock? Have you heard any of this?
No, I just heard you talk about it.
I gotta send you this video. He just piles up the bullshit like right off the bat. So he says, like, he tries to tie it into racism against black people. That's why I gotta take away your Second Amendment rights. And at the very beginning, he says, anybody who tries to say that anything I'm doing is taken away from Second Amendment rights, well, that's a phony argument.
Well, what does the actual?
We don't really know yet. It's an executive order, so nobody's gonna vote on any of this. Like, he's just gonna sign it off.
Yeah, but so you don't know what the order actually says?
Not yet. I mean, this was his announcement earlier this afternoon.
Well, okay, so
maybe there is. I haven't seen if there is actually.
Any action that he takes is going to be challenged. Immediately.
Yeah, it's gonna be challenged in court.
Hold on. Yeah, that's true. But listen, I'm just saying, like, just his words that he's using, the manipulations he's attempting, that doesn't like rub you the wrong way with Biden, Cluck? I want you to hear this shit. Like, he throws all of it in there.
Biden's never really been a very good speaker, but like, I mean, you gotta understand, we just came from 4 years of Trump. Like,
Trump
he's also
was an amazing fucking man, motherfucker. I'll just say that right now. Especially compared to this fucking reanimated puppet corpse.
Trump spoke at a 5th grade level, so I don't know.
Trump wasn't perfect by any means. I'm not saying that.
I think I take dimension emotional appeal over stupidity.
Let me tell you something, man. Trump's heart was in the right place, I think.
Yes,
I'm not saying he was a perfect guy, and I'm not saying he was a good guy and everything, and I'm not saying he was eloquent by any means at all.
So I'm kind of curious. What do the people here think that the Second Amendment actually grants as far as rights?
I think it grants us. I think it grants us. I'll start. I think it grants us with the leverage of having firepower against the government, so that we are not slaves. We are people armed. We are a massive army. If the government thinks that they are anything other than working for us, maybe we can put them in check, and that's what that is.
Yes,
that's what the Second Amendment is.
I agree completely.
So what does that mean in terms of what you're actually allowed to have?
We're allowed to have. I mean,
we don't have a Second Amendment.
So I knew this is where you're gonna go. You're gonna say, "Can you have nuclear arms?"
Well, I just want to know what you guys think that we should be allowed to have. Like,
we should definitely be allowed to have what we have right now, and certain people should be allowed to own automatic weapons, and maybe more than that. Certain people. When you talk about the organized militias, maybe those people should be allowed to own, and
Dronetek, you hit on it. You hit on it perfectly. It's not about the specific weaponry. The principle is having the government in fear of the people and putting them in check. It's not, the Second Amendment wasn't there leverage for hunting or sport. It was there so that the people have an option.
It's for defense.
When the government becomes tyrannical, the people have an option, and the government cannot limit that option, and it cannot stop the people.
Right.
And that might sound controversial today, but that was the reality of the day when the Second Amendment was written. It was the government was overburdensome and oppressive, and the people who had arms said, "We don't agree with this, and we are going to put a stop to this." And I think why we had the Second Amendment was because we wanted American citizens to have an option. Because if the citizens of this country were disarmed, we wouldn't have an option because the only
Yes.
people that would have arms were the government.
Yeah, liberal
And
clock.
I
Real
think
quick. I want to stop you right there because I think that's succinct right there. And I want you to respond to that, Cluck. Like, are you okay with the government? And I know you're not, but just tell me what you think about that. You're okay with just the government having the weapons?
So I used to be of the opinion that that this whole we gotta fight against the government thing was kind of silly. But then I saw during the protests and riots, um Black Lives Matter, where the state governments were using extremely aggressive measures versus even peaceful protesters.
Well,
Um,
we could. That's a
the,
whole other debate we could debate about
oh, okay,
because
yeah, well, okay, so I'm just giving you my
I don't
perspective
believe
right now.
that's true. I believe that's a
Okay,
fantasy.
and that's fine, but like
It's
those facts aren't important to like my overall point here.
okay.
Because I'm giving you my perspective. That
Okay.
this is where this was my journey on gun rights.
Okay.
Um, so I saw that, and then I saw like federal agents, kidnapping is the way that my media was putting it, black bagging people, and then I saw the right wing what was it, the anti-lockdown protests, and the anti-gun legislation protest in Richmond, after the governor threatened to pass gun legislation, where a bunch of people went into the Capitol and with guns was yelling in the faces of the cops, point blank, and the cops didn't do anything about it. A lot of people made that out to be like a racial narrative when they were comparing the two. Which
Anecdotal.
which may have something to do with it, but I
I
think
question the
Hold
antidote
on.
that
Hold
you're
on. Hold
bringing
on.
up.
I know. Hold on. Let him finish though. Let him finish though.
I think that the main difference was that the Black Lives Matter peaceful protesters, they weren't armed, whereas the right wing protesters were armed, and nobody's going to throw a canister of pepper spray in a group of angry armed people.
Well,
That was kind of my
You know how
the peaceful people
misinformed
you're
you
talking
are?
about had gear on, helmets, and like armor and shields and shit.
so
Like they
so
were
so
during the
so
day,
did the
and so they were ready to go to
so
war
did the
at
right
night.
wing. So did the right wing people.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so
Wait,
that's
hold.
okay. So that's when I came to the conclusion that, well, maybe there is something to this argument. Second, the liberals, and I'm saying liberals because lefties aren't a part of this. Lefties are generally
I'm a
pro-gun.
liberal.
Well,
Consider
okay.
myself
Hey,
very
buddy,
liberal
I
as
grew
well.
up. Trust me, I'm a liberal. I'm a what
The
liberals used to be.
the liberal, like as in like Joe Biden and Nancy
Joe
Pelosi,
Biden's not a liberal.
those
He's
types
an
of liberals.
yeah. Okay.
They
He
have a
was a
lot of
moderate.
what is what is the thing that Joe Biden promised, that he would get rid of assault rifles? When and there I know that
I'll be
there's
right
this
back,
whole
guys.
there's no such thing as assault rifles or whatever. But there's a general understanding of what he means when he says that. But when you look at the actual statistics of gun violence, those aren't the weapons that are even causing that are even like a part of most of the gun violence in this world.
Statistically, they're not a majority of the homicides or the gun violence to which he refers.
Yeah,
So
so
it's not a major problem in terms of the epidemic that he speaks of.
So gun violence overall, they're not the major contributor. If you want to go with the argument that the guns are the contributor, so like statistically that doesn't even make sense. And I don't know how much you guys know about me, but I am big on statistics and actual like evidence. So when people brought that up to me, that also made me kind of change my tune on it. Now if you want to talk about just mass shootings, then those types of weapons I think are um overrepresented in those kinds of
Yeah, but here's my
areas.
point is this. If someone is determined to create a mass casualty event, they are going to accomplish that goal, whether or not they have assault rifles that are legal. So they can accomplish that with improvised explosives, bombs, pistols, snipers. They can accomplish that in many different ways. And people also accomplish serial killings and mass murder events with knives. And that's been recorded in places like China and England, in places where they've already banned guns. The problem that I see with the prohibition against arms and assault rifles is that basically what you're doing is limiting the power of the people. And most peaceful people are responsible with their arms. They're not committing crimes. And the fact that they own arms, whether they be so-called assault rifles or pistols or any other firearms, is irrelevant. It's whether you're a criminal or not, and criminals will accomplish their goals no matter if it's legal or illegal. So they can do that by bombing or by other means. And even if something is illegal, like when the Prohibition era occurred, people still had Tommy guns. People still traded in.
Well, hold on. Prohibition era, I don't think it was guns. That was alcohol.
It was alcohol, but I don't
Did
believe.
Did they make automatic weapons
Later,
illegal during Prohibition
later,
also?
rational.
No, but the alcohol was prohibited against.
Yeah, alcohol you
And
can also make like in your basement.
right, but I'm not sure completely about the legality of having a Tommy gun, but I'm pretty sure it was illegal. I
Okay.
might be wrong about that. I'm not sure, but the state and federal officials had to also find defensive weapons that were similar to those. But we don't have Tommy guns today, right? Because they're illegal, like fully
We don't
automatic.
we
fully
don't generally have
weapons, right?
yeah, and they're generally not used in like mass casualty events either, as far as I know.
Right.
But isn't that an argument for gun control?
Well, what's your argument? What should we control? That's my question.
Well, here, how
What
about
should we
this?
Oh, I honestly don't know. Like I don't I think that a
I'm
lot
wondering,
if
does
you're
the
looking at gun violence overall, you got to solve the socioeconomic problems that the people who are committing the most gun violence are experiencing that makes them to where they feel like they need to commit this gun violence in order to survive. I don't think that the guns are going taking away the guns are going to
I
really
don't
solve that.
right. I don't think the guns are the problem. I think the individuals are the problem. I
But
think you have
if you're talking about like mass shootings, I honestly don't know what the solution to mass shootings are.
There's not
not,
really.
not gun
Well,
control.
Just arm
I mean,
everybody.
but see the thing is that
There's
America
something.
is very unique in that they have this problem. Most other countries don't have this
Yeah,
problem.
what is with that though? Do you
Dude,
think there
but
could be any
Timothy
conspiratorial? Hold on, let's bring some more people in here. We got a shitload of people in here. I have hiccups too. Shit.
All right, so liberal.
Anybody got
plus,
video?
Can I give this counterpoint to you?
Here, I can show you a
Say
video.
we
Uh-huh.
say we ban all
It better not be
guns,
fucking horrible.
Which I'm not advocating for, but go on.
but say we do ban all guns. That doesn't prevent the Timothy McVeigh bombing of the federal building in, I believe, was that Oklahoma City, and the Twin Towers. That doesn't prevent that.
You know
But
what?
it might.
Those,
But
those who are determined to kill will do that,
Yeah.
or they can take a van and they could run it through a whole
Okay, no, I get this argument. I know what
Can I ask
like,
you
I'll
this
be-
real quick too? Like, doesn't
ahead.
it all seem like terrorism to take away our rights? It's like, it's like we are living in a Middle Eastern country and people are carrying out these terrorist attacks for whatever Islamic group they're with. Excuse me, I just hiccups. But in our case, it's like random people carrying out these random murders, and it's affecting policy. Right?
Yes, agreed. And it
Well,
those
well,
same
okay. So when a terror,
objectives can
okay,
be
Is it random?
accomplished
Is it
without
ra-
guns.
Is it
I
random?
don't. Hold on. I don't.
I guess you can count it. It honestly depends on your point of view. If it is,
I
a
don't
terror-
think. I don't think that these.
depends.
I don't think that these mass shooters are like doing this in order to change policy. There's a terrorist has to have
The
some
politicians are
political
using
goal.
it for that.
Well, yeah, they are, but I'm
So
not-
are they
but
terrorists?
no, because I think that the politicians are just responding to a problem that they see inside of the
Oh.
country, though they probably are doing it wrongly.
Or
But do you agree that
Wrongly is
someone
not
like
a word.
do you agree
But since
like
you're banning
someone-
guns, shouldn't you like ban alcohol with it? And shouldn't you ban? Shouldn't you ban
As
like
as the
should you have
resident
a-
redneck around this
there's so many
motherfucker,
other things.
Hold on,
I feel like
Aaron.
you're talking and I feel like you're talking about a subject that's very in my wheelhouse.
There's a lot of things about this subject.
I am very deeply into the gun culture of this country, and it is a culture. You're talking about what can be done about these things. It is culture. It is strictly culture. Most of these
I
mass
would love no
shooters,
death. Trust me.
most of
agree.
these mass shooters come out and they specifically state that they did it for reasons because of the state of society. They were unhappy with it. So they felt like they wanted to cause harm and cause damage to literally cause a political change.
Is it-
And
No,
millionaire, you would agree to this, right? Even if those individuals who had weapons, assault weapons and other firearms, if they had no access to those, they would still find a way to create casualties. And
100%.
so like it's not an issue about weapons or because people who have weapons who have them responsibly and use them and treat them responsibly and are trained well with them, those aren't the people with issues. The people that we have to focus on are those who are isolated from our society and disaffected by our society and have social issues and maybe might be a little bit sociopathic. And I think we should be more concerned about mental health because an individual can accomplish any ends if they're determined to do that.
okay. Can I say something? Okay. So one thing I really hate about the gun debate is that there are a lot of really bad arguments on both ends, but especially on the right.
To be
Neil-
honest with you, I haven't heard an argument from you. I haven't heard an argument from you. I don't know your position.
Hold on, guys, stop.
Established.
Clock. What's a bad
Okay, so-
argument? Name one.
Millionaire, I honestly agree with you. You pretty much repeated the same thing that I don't know if you know Bo the Fifth column, but that's his descriptive claim around gun violence. Richard, this idea that people who want to commit harm is going to do it anyways, it just doesn't seem to pan out when you look at other countries. Yes, there are knife attacks. Yes, there's acid attacks.
Bullshit.
Yes, yes, there are anecdotal evidence
Look
of
at
like.
Brazil, dude.
Okay, listen. Yes,
Brazil leads
wait,
in gun
wait,
violence.
wait, hold on. Are you comparing America to a third world country?
No, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay.
That's a bad argument, Club. Come on.
Wait, try comparing America to a first world country like
No,
England.
no. Okay, I will.
England,
compare
a
it. I
slave
will
country
compare
where
it.
You
the people
still
have.
okay?
Hold
by
on.
your
Liberal
own
Cluck.
by your own logic, how are you gonna compare a size of that country to the size of the
Per
this
capita.
country?
It's called per capita.
And also, yeah, right. Go ahead.
Take your
Find ways
turns.
to-
Don't talk about.
Yeah, I think I will compare
Look,
the two.
England is a country where the people have no recourse against their government. They are essentially slaves to their government. They have no leverage against them, whereas we do. We have an extra level of freedom and leverage and power against our government that they do not.
Okay, but that's not the argument that I'm trying
Guns
to.
are also
That is
already illegal. Plus,
Cluck,
they still have
Cluck,
a
tell
gun
me
violence.
why anybody would want to get rid of that leverage. Any country.
Wait,
What's
hold
the
on,
what's
hold
the
on.
bonus?
Yes, agreed. Good.
Dronetek. What I was specifically referring to was Richard's argument that without guns, people are still going to find ways to kill other people.
Right.
Yeah,
Always.
yes.
Which, if you look at other countries, yes, there are still killings, but to the extent that we have mass shootings, other countries that are with restrictive gun
Well,
control, England.
Define a mass shooting. Define a mass shooting.
Most of them are gang related. You never hear about them because they're not
Yeah,
politically
so-
beneficial.
No, you don't hear about them because nobody really cares about poor people killing each other.
Bullshit.
No, that's not true.
No.
That's your
no.
scapegoat.
No.
That's your scapegoat that everybody's
No, it's because it
monsters. They
doesn't come
won't
with their
care.
political opinion.
Liberal.
That's bullshit.
Liberal Cluck.
The media
Liberal
doesn't care when
Cluck.
poor people are killing each other. How's that?
No, that's
Liberal
not.
Club.
No. Right, because it's not politically beneficiary to them. Whereas white cop, black victim is. Whereas cop, whatever the color, white victim is not. Which is why Biden during his speech today was like, one of these Asians were killed by a white man and some other people. Or he said something like that. Like he
Even
just
though
like
there was a mass
he just
shooting
like
like a week
discounted these
ago that
other
had
people.
news on Iranians,
I'm just gonna name
saying.
the Asian people because they're the ones who are useful to me.
Liberal Cluck. Can I present a scenario to you so you can like compare it to what I was talking about in terms of restricting people's Second Amendment rights here in America?
So you can present a scenario to me, but what actually convinces me is statistics.
Okay. Well,
Which you
statistics-
never
Statistics are not on your
You
side,
never
my
bring
bro.
it up.
You know that. You should know that.
You never bring it up. You love to bring up liberal and very left-wing sources to try to pin down your arguments.
So
But
give me
you
Guys,
yourself,
don't
give
take
me
it
the-
personally,
listen.
guys. Just take
Give
them
me
on,
the
like,
I'm not.
hold
I'm
on.
not. But
Okay, listen, Niller, hold on, Nillionaire. I don't
this
think
is what you're doing.
Nillionaire,
and
I don't
then
think you actually know
then
me
you
because
can't
listen,
form your own arguments.
no.
No,
Listen,
you listen.
You
listen.
don't
I
don't know
think
me
you
because
can form
Dronetek
your
has had
own
many
opinions and
conversations with
arguments.
me, and I think that him and many other people in this community will agree that I have these conversations in good faith.
Yeah,
He does.
and that's
He's a
not
good
what I'm
guy.
saying.
I agree.
That's
I
not what
agree.
I'm saying. That's how you took it, and I can tell by how your voice. You just get really offended.
He's
by
he's
that.
just confident.
I don't
He's
think-
confident in his argument.
I don't think you can formulate your own opinions. I think you're formulating your opinions off of data that you select personally, and that's all you
honestly,
do.
honestly, I'll admit right now because I do this all the time, and I admit it when I do it. I'm formulating this argument off of feeling.
Exactly. So how
'cause I don't-
are you gonna formulate any argument off of feeling, especially when it comes to the argument of guns?
Well,
and the right
the
to
arguments
protect
that you
yourself?
guys hold on.
Because
The arguments you guys
because
are
I
making.
think you have a misconception of what the Second Amendment is for and what these rights are for and what the Constitution is designed for in the first place.
It's to go
I
against.
think you kind of see the Constitution
guys
as
want
a
to-
restriction
Hey,
of the
hold
people
on,
and
hold
a
on.
restriction
Real
of
quick,
the government.
Real quick,
respond,
Millionaire
Millionaire.
may not know this. Millionaire may not know that Liberal Cluck is pro Second Amendment.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
That's the
but
thing.
I'm
I was just-
saying
So when I
I'm
was going
saying,
against
I think you're
Richard,
looking at the way the Constitution is designed. I think you kind of see it as a way to restrict the people and not a way to restrict the government in which it's actually designed.
that's
Mhm.
not true though. The extra shit,
Yes.
the extra laws that do restrict our
That
freedoms.
is not the
those are.
Constitution.
I know it's not
Those
the
are
Constitution.
laws that they
Yeah,
pass.
yeah.
The Constitution is designed to restrict the government.
And the Constitution lays out a method to which the government can pass laws, and the courts are responsible for determining whether those laws are constitutional or not. Right? That's in the Constitution.
Yep.
So there have been federal gun laws passed in the past to which were upheld by the court. Is that true or false?
And then they were overturned later.
The
Yeah.
automatic
They-
the automatic ban.
None,
The automatic.
none of the gun laws. No,
Yeah.
dude, Columbine happened
So-
during that.
Wait, hold on. You're not getting
It's
the
true.
point that I'm trying to make with this
No,
argumentation.
you're not getting the point. I'm trying to make
Does
it.
anyone? I have the
Liberal
statistics.
Club, make your
It's
point.
right there if you want to look. It's right there.
Let Liberal Cluck make his point. What's your point, Liberal Cluck?
Okay, so
Stats
you're
are-
talking.
Statista is a great website, by the way. I love it. Very easy to use and you find lots of stats.
You're trying to tell me that I don't understand that the Constitution is to restrict the government. However, there is a line, a way for our government to make laws that restrict people's freedoms, right? Right. And a part of that is for the court, when these laws are made, the courts can strike them down as unconstitutional or being constitutional. There have been gun laws passed in the past, such as the automatic rifle ban, that were upheld by the courts. Is anything that I just said true or false?
The assault weapons ban.
I'm not arguing that the assault weapons ban did something to.
What is the point of any of that you just
People,
brought
get your
up?
video on.
Because you
Turn
brought-
your video
no.
on, you cowards. Turn your video
You
on.
brought up a point. A
People die
specific-
by hands more and fists and knives more than assault weapons. So why would you ban assault weapons when you should ban our hands?
No,
That would affect more.
I don't think we should be banning assault weapons. I think it's a stupid idea. I've already went over that because of the statistics.
Yes.
Okay.
What are
So
you
what are you
arguing for,
proposing?
dude?
Why are you
Right
arguing?
now, against it depends on who you're talking about. Right now, against you, you're trying to tell me that I think that the Constitution is a means to restrict the people. That is the specific point that I'm arguing against you. So you keep bringing up Columbine, which has nothing to do with my opinion on whether the Constitution is meant to restrict the people or the government. Like that's why I'm saying Columbine is irrelevant to
You know
what
why
I'm
I
talking
keep bringing it up? You know why I keep bringing it up? Because when I bring up the Constitution, you bring up laws which are not the Constitution, and you're trying to extrapolate them and create them into one thing.
Wait,
all right?
does the Constitution
back.
does the Constitution
No.
lay out a method to which the government
you
can make these
stop-
laws?
You can stop yelling.
Yes.
You can stop yelling and calm down a little bit, dude.
I'm sorry. Okay, listen. All right,
You're
hold on.
trying to
Hold on,
you're
guys.
trying to create your own circle back situation, bro.
Let me just
Insult rifle
real quick.
incoming.
No,
Let-
Liberal, we know that you...
Don't call
This is-
him a
this is
crux circle
devolving.
back guy. That
This
just
is
mean.
devolving, guys. This is devolving into nothing.
Oh yeah. So let me
So,
disclaimer something
liberal.
real quick.
Guys, let
was
him
listening
talk,
for a little
please.
while.
I have been
Um,
extremely high in my emotions
Ashier's
recently,
next.
so yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so one thing that I want to correct you on real quick.
mhm.
Constitutional review, where the Supreme Court specifically, rules on whether something is constitutional or not,
Marbury
is not
versus
in the
Madison.
Constitution. It was
Oh,
made.
it's not.
Marbury-
No, it is not.
Marbury
It
versus
was-
Madison.
It was made whole cloth by the Supreme Court.
You
in
guys
Marbury
want to check? I have it right there.
So the Constitution has no way of determining
up.
whether a law is constitutional or not.
The Constitution was very vague about the powers of the
Yes.
judicial.
Agreed.
That is one thing that the founders really didn't know how they wanted to set it up, and
True.
so it was a lot more vague than it should have been.
Yes, and
Okay.
Marbury versus Madison settled that.
Okay. I mean, I'm wrong then.
But-
I mean, I don't know, so I'm just gonna go with what you said.
So, judicial review has been accepted for over 200 years
300
now.
years?
Mhm.
Yeah.
About 200 years or so. But it is not in the Constitution.
Okay. I
Um,
mean, okay, then I was wrong on that point.
Whether it should be in the Constitution or not is a separate question. I honestly think it should be in some form, but it is
Well,
not.
Somebody's got to interpret the word of
Yeah,
law,
like I
right?
said, I think it should
Yeah.
be, but it is
Yeah.
That
not.
is what the Supreme Court is for.
Well, but
That
that's
is
not
what
in
the
the
Supreme
Const-
Court
yeah.
is used for currently, but that is not
No.
what
but
the
that is
Supreme
what
Court
it's
has laid
for,
out
yeah.
for in the Constitution.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah,
So I've been really high on my
basically,
emotions
liberal
recently.
cluck, you lost.
Hold
It-
on,
that's
let's
the
not.
whole
We don't
point.
need that. We don't need that.
Okay.
Liberal-
No,
Okay.
I
Really,
say that
win or
kiddingly.
lose,
I say
is
that
nice to have a conversation.
Yeah, we're just
Dronetek,
hanging out and
I say
talking,
that-
guys.
I say
So-
that I say that kiddingly.
I know. That's cool. That's fine then.
Okay, so liberal clock.
You guys want to check the Constitution? It's right there.
Yeah.
If you've been able
is
to find,
Article
like,
4 that lays
I
out
got
the
it up.
judicial?
I have it up on the stream right now.
But judicial, you won't find judicial review in the Constitution. We can have a separate argument about whether it should be in there or not, and I honestly think it in some form should be, but it's not in there.
It's Marbury versus Madison.
Yeah,
So-
it's Marbury versus Madison, where
I'm
the Supreme
curious.
Court made
I'm
it up.
curious
overall.
as to how people determined whether a law was constitutional or not before
The
Supreme
judicial
Court-
review.
Well, was it in the
Supreme Court
Constitution that was makes it a
determines that.
law?
So, the
It has to be
Constitution,
backed up by the Constitution. So.
the way it is set up in the United States, and I have an echo from someone. The way it's set up in the United States is this Constitution is the supreme law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
And before Marbury versus Madison, there wasn't really a way to say this law is constitutional, this law isn't. I guess they mostly assumed that people would follow the Constitution, which, again, the founders weren't perfect. The Constitution is not perfect. It certainly wasn't when it was passed, although most of the changes that they've made to it are not good changes, but again, separate conversation.
Separate conversation, agreed.
So and I'm getting Laser, I think I'm getting an echo from you.
Sorry.
Put it on mute. Yeah, I agree exactly what you're talking about. Basically, and the Constitution was created, it devised powers between the three branches of government, and there was not a place within those authoritative documents to establish the interpretation of laws. That's why Marbury versus Madison established that the legislative body creates laws and the Supreme Court interprets them, and essentially the Supreme Court is the last word. They decide
that is what Marbury versus Madison says. Yes. My point is
there's a
it is
problem with
not in
that
the
because
Constitution. And
you are correct, but that's established law, and
it is
it's
established.
also-
It is precedent. Yes.
yes,
And
it's
I
precedent.
think we would both agree that that is a role that the courts should have.
Mhm.
But my point is the courts in the Constitution don't have that role. Now,
And I agree with you on that, and it makes the Supreme
and I think
Court.
we're going down a rabbit trail on this that we don't need to be going down.
Okay, but I just
This
want-
is about the
before-
Second Amendment, correct?
Yes, but before we discontinue this conversation, I just want to add on to what you're saying, which is that the Supreme Court is the most powerful institution in our government. Simple as that.
Not necessarily.
Unless you're Andrew Jackson, in which case the courts have ruled, let's see them enforce it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
That was Andrew
necessarily
Jackson's response.
the most powerful. Yeah, they have all three branches have their prospective roles, but they're not being used as those roles. They're being politicized and they're being weaponized against anybody that is against the state, against
Correct.
higher power, more power, globalism, whatever you want to name it. You can name it all kinds of different names, but it's all the same shit.
So,
You know.
liberal clock. Back to, or he dropped out.
Did he?
PC froze up. Yeah, his PC froze
yeah.
up. He's gonna be
Hey,
back.
can I ask you guys about
Okay.
something off topic, a little bit more like maybe fun here?
Yeah, sure.
So, all right, let me just play. I just want to play this video. I don't know if you guys saw it. I posted it late, just because I happened to be watching the trial and I saw this and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta make a video of this. Hold on, let me just pull it over here. 1 second. Are you guys watching the stream? Any of you?
Just play it.
I've got it
from
pulled up
where
and muted.
You are, because there's a
Nate.
relay.
How do I pull it up? So, oh yeah. Hold on, I got that. Yeah, you guys can pull it up and watch it with me here. 1 second. Screen. I'll just pull up the screen. There we go. Here we go. Just watch that stream right there. My stream. If you pull up, you'll be able to see it. All right. So this was during the Floyd trial today. All right, and this was their scientist witness. Okay, and this guy was fucking like hard to watch. He's just very condescending. Thinks he's like Dr. Wiley or something. All
The
right,
whole trial was hard to watch.
all right, I've been watching all of it, but here I'm gonna play this.
Yeah.
Let me know your
I
take on
applaud you.
this.
I didn't.
Tell me your take on this. Here we go.
Now, in terms of, we also understand that Mr. Floyd had previously been diagnosed with COVID-19, right?
Correct.
And he may not be have been symptomatic on March 25th, but it's fair to say that a lot is unknown about the effects of COVID-19 on a person's lungs, long term.
I mean,
Oh, I can't
not
hear it.
as much as it would appear to be the case. I mean, because obviously it's a viral illness. We have a
Hold on.
I can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
huge amount of information
That's
about
weird.
the long-term effects of viral illnesses.
And those
Oh.
can
Oh, there you
affect the elasticity of the lungs, right?
So-
Not the elasticity. It
He's
would be,
like,
if
"Oh,
it's
no,
having
no,
any
COVID
effect, it
doesn't
would be within
bother
the
your lungs.
sensory
It's all
receptors
good."
within the tracheobronchial tube.
Oh,
So it
yeah, I
really
heard
wouldn't
about
have
that.
anything to do with
He's
the
like,
elasticity.
no.
Okay. Now, but we also learned quite a bit about the toxicology as well. Oh,
Also,
excuse me.
smoking
On the
doesn't hurt your
COVID-19, you
COVID,
testified
smoking, drugs.
that treatment of people with COVID-19 includes leaving them in the prone position, right?
Correct.
And
COVID.
right, but
Right,
that's
yeah.
what you'd expect. That same decrease in the EELD.
No, it's going to be very different in somebody who has, say, pneumonia. What's
He-
going to
the-
happen in the prone
the whole time
position
he's trying to
will
deflect
be very
that,
variable
like,
from one
the
person
fact
to
that,
another as a result of the,
Floyd
of
had
the
COVID
pneumonia.
would have
It's
any
different
effect on
than
his
normal
lungs or
lungs.
breathing capacity,
So,
which is,
so
I think is just hilarious.
in
But
essence, every
that's all
person
we've
is
heard for
different.
the last year is that it
For
does that.
certain.
And now, you calculated his respiratory rate.
Next thing we're
to
going to
be
hear is
5.
cancer doesn't kill
Hold on,
people.
yeah, here's the
And
other one.
you-
Here, I'm gonna skip.
Less than 10% to
Oh, here
90%
we
don't
go.
changes the lung function. Agreed?
in some people.
Toxicology of Mr. Floyd, we did learn that there were some controlled substances in his system, right?
Yes.
We know that there was, for example, nicotine,
They
right?
didn't even deny it.
Mr. Floyd was a smoker,
Correct.
Hold on.
and smoking changes the lung function. Agreed?
In some people.
Now,
That's
also
the new dare ad.
learned,
That's the new dare
more-
ad.
and I'm
Smoking
not
is bad
suggesting that
for some
who
people.
all people who smoke have lung cancer.
Alcohol is
Less
over
than 10% to 90%
Less than-
don't have any.
alcohol is bad
Right,
for some
right,
people.
right. That's
So
the
I
that's
wonder-
the new
I
that's the
wonder
new
how much
anti-smoking
smoking-
Shooting
campaign.
yourself in the head
That's a-
sometimes will kill you.
Well, that's the new anti-smoking ad. Is 10% of people will develop, like, seriously? Excuse me, sorry.
Dronetek.
Yeah.
Do you know what we call them? In our field,
But
we call them paid whores
yeah, obviously. Sorry, Clark,
because
just saw you up there.
What
they're
up?
paid to make statements, and they know what they're there for, and they know why they're on the stand to say what the prosecution wants or the defense wants, but they're there because they're paid.
Right.
And that's what those people are. And that's why they become hostile to questioning, because an individual who has nothing to hide, who's just being like neutral, unbiased, there's no hostility when people are questioning them. But someone who has some hostility is an individual who is paid.
That's exactly why you can't base your entire argument on statistics alone, because if you do that, you're not realizing that for a long time now, for probably decades, the science community has been politicized as well. You
Yes,
can
sir.
take
I love
any
science.
argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
you
of the
can take
biggest
any
problems
argument
nowadays is
and you can take any argument and take statistics to back up what you want, because the people that are paying for those statistics, say for
Mhm.
instance, we've known this for a long time. Say for instance, the government goes to one of these colleges and they pay this college for a study. That college, in order to keep receiving the money that they receive from the government, they're going to produce results that they want.
Yes.
It's not necessarily unbiased results, because if they start producing results that they don't like, then they're going to stop using them. They're going to stop giving them money. They don't want that to happen.
We
So
call
you
them-
have to be
we
very
call
careful.
them-
You base your entire argument off of statistics alone and not able to form your own.
We call
Okay,
them
so
paid whores. That's
do
what
you
we
know-
call them in the legal industry, paid whores.
do you know what peer review is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is the government going around to every single research institution and paying them off to get the results that they want?
No.
With
no, they'll just keep looking through the results until they find one that fits their
Let me
agenda.
ask you this. Stop, real quick. Let me ask you this, liberal clock. We're constantly fed these doomsday scenarios and told how horrible everything is. And then these peer-reviewed studies come out to back it up. Let me ask you, is there any benefit for people to, especially once the culture starts to shift, is there any benefit to, like, signing on to that rather than to resist it? You know what I mean?
signing on to accepting studies over anecdotes and personal experience?
Well, what studies though? Like what? I see so many studies that are based on like just like it seems like bad premise from the start anyway. Like I hear so many, like in the media, anytime anything happens between a cop and a black person, it's just sort of talked about as a racial issue, as if that's just what it is, without any kind of like delving into like the details or anything. The details are dangerous, so they don't go there. It's like, oh, it's racial. That's what I mean. It's like this sort of like this I don't know. It's like it's weird, like brainwashing going on where. Especially when it comes to police interactions with people, you never hear about it if it's like white people or anybody else really even. It's only if it's like a white cop and a black person, right?
Okay. So the media, just like most other capitalist organizations, completely misunderstand the actual academic material around these issues. That's how you get situations like Coca-Cola putting up presentations trying to tell people
Don't you
not
think
to be
this
white.
is all very dangerous? Like where we're headed with this? I'm glad you mentioned that because, dude, we're delving into some real like Nazi-esque kind of shit right now in this country. Do you see it?
It depends on what you're. So what the issue with like the Coca-Cola, for example, is that they're trying to rebrand these words to mean something that the common people do not use these words as to meaning. So like the word racist, when you hear an academic say that everybody is racist, all they're really trying to or all white people are racist, they're not trying to say that all white people are going around calling black people the N-words
Dude.
or attacking black people. That's not what they're trying to say
Just
though.
stop. Don't fucking tell me this shit, dude. Seriously. That's fucking
Well-
that's fucking pure. You should know you're talking shit. Seriously. You're just like trying to rationalize racism. That's it. That's all
No,
you're doing.
No. Well, no. I have
Yes,
a whole
yes,
stew,
yes, yes,
But
yes.
listen,
Oh,
I have a
hold
whole.
on, hold on.
I have,
How
Let
is
him
it?
make his
How
point,
is
let
it
him
that
make his
they
Hold
are?
on. Let him make his
How
point.
is it that they are misinterpreting this?
No, there's nothing. This ending whiteness, the whiteness, all of the CRT shit, all of it is fucking Nazi-esque racist bullshit that will lead to genocide or an attempt to. Because the people that are doing this, for some reason, think they have numbers on their side. It will not end well, to be honest with you, for the other side, in my opinion.
white.
Because
white
they're going to
people
try
have
to
been
do
sa-
this, but it's not going to go the way they think it will.
White
Yep.
people have been saying that these things are going to lead to genocide since
No.
black
I am not
people were
those
freed.
people. I am not a Nazi,
Level fuck.
right-wing, like supremacist kind of guy.
I'm not
what- no,
accusing you of that.
No, but that's what that is. That you're like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory that they've been saying. No, this
Yeah,
is,
but-
be honest about what's happening.
Yeah,
Cluck.
that's
Come
that's
on,
what
man.
you're trying. That's what you were trying to
Dehumanization of
equate
white
that
people
as,
has
honestly.
become mainstream, dude. I'm not a person who
Liberal.
believes
Just
in this
look
shit.
at South Africa.
It's obvious.
Just look at South Africa. That is where we are going, because
Yeah,
that is what.
Liberal.
If you don't like this country, why don't you leave?
Liberal.
Hold on.
my God.
Let him answer. Let him answer. He's getting bombarded here, guys.
What am I supposed to like? Who,
Right.
Which one?
He's like, right.
What I'm saying is liberal. I actually think that you honestly believe most of what Dronetek is prescribing in terms of the policy prescriptions that you believe in. I think you have much alignment in terms of your thinking. I think you only dispute some of his thoughts, and I think it's mostly squabbling. So
I'm just
like
I just wonder, like, what do you think's happening? Are you upset, or do you think what's happening right now is good? This proliferation of like CRT in the schools and businesses in the government, or not businesses necessarily, but in the government definitely, corporations definitely, like Disney and all these big corporations. Do you think that's a good thing, of like blaming white people for fucking everything? Because let me tell you something, when you do that, the solution to that is white people going away, which is already the solution. So how can you not see that shit as nefarious as fuck? Honestly,
They're completely open about it.
Okay, I can talk now.
yeah, go for it.
Cool. All right.
Shut
so
up, guys. Everybody shut up. Let
to-
him go.
to the extent that I see this crap as being a problem is just basically the language just being used around this stuff. I do agree.
What
that
language?
saying-
Stop. Let him finish.
I was getting
sorry,
ready to
I'm
get
just-
to that. Like, holy
Cluck,
shit.
Go. Cluck, guys,
I
stop.
do agree saying things like whiteness is a problem and don't be more white, stop being white is an issue. And you know what? I will even go as far to say that that kind of talk could instigate
Will.
violence against
Will.
white people.
Will
Um,
and is.
Well,
Go ahead, Jen.
Has.
okay. So yes, that is an issue. I do not agree that prescribing certain problems based around a racial outlook, which is what critical race theory is a problem. So when you look at something like the fact that you can
What
send out
substantiates critical race theory? Can you answer that?
just a body of studies that have showed the evidence that these things exist. First of all, maybe you guys don't agree because maybe y'all are like this true belief of like pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You don't believe in like the stickiness of the ends when it comes to socioeconomic issues.
nah, I
but
don't believe in that at all.
okay, so but would you agree? And this is going to come back to race. Would you agree that where
Why does
you
it have
come
to go
from
back
in
to
terms
race?
let's
Guys, let him finish.
You know, you make
Good. Sorry.
would you agree that when it comes to your economic situation, where you come from in terms of how much money and wealth your parents have is a large indicator of where you're going to end up.
No!
Agree with that.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you a story?
Not at all.
Yes,
One at
I'll
a
agree
time.
with
Not
Please say
one
something.
fucking
Yes.
bit.
Oh, stop! Everybody, stop! Answer one
Okay,
at a
No,
time. Stop.
they're answering.
Can I please say something first before you
You're
continue?
about to give me an anecdote. Yeah, you're about to give me an anecdote.
No,
Okay,
my
I'll be right back.
I
father.
agree with you, Pluck, on
My,
that.
my father. What had nothing, absolutely nothing. Was born with nothing, and he had four other siblings, and had me, and I had four other siblings, and he raised us all on nothing, had nothing, but still manages to raise us all. He was going to be on the streets, but he still managed to do it.
Okay, anyone else got an anecdote for me?
No, I agree with you 100%. I will agree with you because if people come from certain measure of economic privilege, is what I will call that. Yes, they are in a position that is more advantaged than others, but I would not delineate those categories based on race. I would delineate them based on wealth. And so when you speak on these notions that are very superficial, I would encourage you to explore the idea of more economic differences between the classes of people. So,
Okay.
you disagree
I'm
with
gonna
that?
actually disagree with disagree here. The economics of your parents are much less an indicator than whether your parents are married and in a stable, loving relationship. That is the biggest indicator, specifically in America, whether there is a father in the house that gives a damn.
Anyone else got anything to say? Because I kind of want to speak to just Laser because he already buys a premise. I don't have to sell this premise to build my argument to him.
You already just said, oh, anecdotal, to his response on that. So, tell you the
Laser?
truth, you cannot fully just disregard anecdotal. What you see as anecdotal. Yeah, I'm getting back to these statistics things that whenever you come back in that I was talking about, you want to try to base everything off of statistics, and you want to take this this Ben Shapiro-esque style to your delivery to it, and you're not really. I don't think you're fully thinking about and fully thinking through your entire process. You're just picking and choosing on how you want to see the situations you're talking about, and then running with it.
I am very consistent in how I am very consistent in how I.
All right, guys. Just want to let you know I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I like the discussion we got going on. I want you to invite you guys to come in and join us. I will post the link here if you want to join us. We've been going on for about, it looks like, an hour and a half or so. So I think I'm done for the night. But I do, like I said, I want to invite you guys to come in. This is the link. You can come to join the discussion. And we do this every Thursday.